I'm Dr. P, your communication coach. If you're like me, you hate tough conversations. You know, those kinds of conversations where you might hurt somebody's feelings or you're afraid they might bite your head off for what you know you need to say. But what helps me is having a plan going into the conversation. I know, first of all, that the conversation is not going to go well if I communicate like a passive turtle, a passive-aggressive fox, or an aggressive bulldog. So instead, I want to be an eagle who's able to soar above storms by strategically using 4 steps, SOAR. Let me preface this by saying, make sure you're in a safe place, maybe even a public place, and bring someone else with you if you need to ensure your safety. The first step to SOAR is the S. Start with value. Think about something you value about the other person to start the conversation. Like, I think it's awesome that you stand up for what you believe. Or if it's somebody you're really close to, you can start with, I love you so much, and you are so important to me. Then after you start with value, move right into the second step, which is the O, to offer your story. Our stories can take a lot of different forms, but what you want to focus on in this step is trying not to shame the other person in the way you state your story. Like, so I've been noticing how there's been this tension between us lately. Or I've found out this information and I don't know what to do with it. Your third step is the A, which is to ask curious questions. A curious question is very different from a loaded question. Loaded questions probably start with the word why, like, why did you do that? Which will only make the person need to protect themselves from shame by being defensive. So, ask a curious question with the words how or what, like, so how does all of that sit with you? Or, so what do you think motivated you to make that decision? The cool thing about curious questions is that they activate the prefrontal cortex of our brains, which is our processing brain. And when you can get somebody to really take the time to think about something, they'll be too busy using the part of their brain that processes to use the part of their brain that fights with you. So ask curious questions. After they answer your curious question, you can take the fourth step, which is the R, to respond with empathy. Think of how you would feel if you were in their shoes and express that. Psychotherapist Carl Rogers said, that which is most painful, most personal, is also most universal. So even if you haven't experienced that exact same situation, I guarantee you've experienced the same emotion that they're feeling. So respond with empathy. Then you might have to go back and ask other curious questions or tell them again what you value about them. So don't be afraid to take these steps out of order. After you SOAR, you'll find you are now on the same team and you can come up with solutions together to resolve your conflict. So the next time you have to have a tough conversation, practice learning to SOAR. Start with value, offer your story, ask curious questions, and respond with empathy. You'll be amazed at how it'll change your conversation for the better. Hey, for more communication tips, subscribe.